just to confirm, this is definitely where we left off, right? Shoulder and arm, or excuse me, forearm and hand. Right, we covered, we got all the we got all the muscles, corpobrachialis. Yes, we did. For sure, for sure. Yep. Okay, here we go. Dude, thank you for uploading all this, man. This is freaking awesome. Keaton, do you want an iPad or you good on that?
Good on this.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, bones of the forearm and hand. The humerus is the bone of the arm. Its proximal end articulates with the scapula to form the glenohumeral joint. Its distal end joins with the ulna and radius at the elbow. The elbow has two joints, the humero-ulnar and humero-radial. The radius and ulna make up the bones of the forearm. The ulna is superficial and has a palpable edge that extends from the elbow to the wrist. The radius on the thumb side is lateral to the ulna and is partially buried in muscle. Pronation and supination of the forearm are created by the radius pivoting around the ulna at proximal and distal radial ulnar joints. I think that's a important and mentionable thing, that the ulna is fixed and the radius is the thing articulating around. So when we're thinking about doing forearm testing, we're thinking this is moving about the ulna. And that's something I see I see a lot of people with like force coupling issues where they'll be trying to push on the ulna.
Yeah.
This is what pushing on the ulna looks like. This is what moving the radius looks like. So I mean, it's kind of weird, but if you look at it, this thing is moving, but it's this thing that kind of driving about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird feeling there. So anyway, the three groups of bones in the wrist and hand are the carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. The carpals are 8 pebble-sized bones that form 2 rows, proximal and distal, each containing 4 carpal bones located distal to the flexor crease of the wrist. The carpals are accessible from all sides. The palmar dorsal, radial, and ulnar surfaces of the hand. The metacarpals are 5 long bones spanning the palm of the hand. The metacarpal's proximal end is the base, the long midsection is the shaft, and the distal end is the head. The metacarpals are easily palpable along the hand dorsal surface. They are deep to the muscles on the palmar side. The phalanges are the bones of the fingers. The thumb has 2 phalanx bones and the fingers have 3. All sides of the phalanges are accessible. So, just from a joint and a bone standpoint, we have this thing.
Humerus.
Yep. And then, okay, this is cool. So this side, this component of the joint is the humeroradial joint. This is cool. I haven't really explored the specifics of these joints before. And then this is obviously going to be the humero-ulnar joint. This is the ulna. Yeah. No, sorry. Shit. I said that wrong. This is the ulnar, the humero-ulnar joint. This is the humero-radial joint. So, ulna, yep, and radius. And then ulna is going to be on the fifth, pinky side, and then radius is going to be on the first or thumb side. These guys, these little pebbles, called carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. The way that we explain these guys, this would be the distal phalange, proximal phalange, middle phalange. This one is just distal, proximal. Distal means away, proximal means closer. This is called the pisiform. That's the only one I remember. Let's see here. Humerus, medial, lateral, supercondylar ridge. Okay, we talked about all those. Picture trochlea, ulna, yup. Okay, so, I mean, this is just minute details. We don't need to get too deep into this. This guy, pisiform, triquetrum, the lunate, the scaphoid. Oh wait, here, hold on a second. Yeah, there it is. Pisiform, lunate. Where's the hamate? Oh, there it is, down there. Scaphoid, pisiform, lunate, scaphoid, let's see here, triquetrum, no, hamate, capitate, trapezoid, trapezium. Never gonna need to remember those again, honestly.
Because there's so many.
It's nuts, man. I mean, look at all this, versatility we need in the hands. That's pretty crazy. Okay. We have the right here, head of the radius, neck, radial tuberosity, radius. Styloids. These are called the styloid processes. Yeah, these kind of bony side things there. Yep. Ulna, superior crest. So the bicep is going to run into this zone here, which is something that helps articulate. And we'll look at all this when we get into the muscles. Shaft. Good. Yeah, cool. Any questions on these guys? No? Cool. Let's keep going. Okay, so here we go. We'll talk about the muscles. The muscles of the forearm primarily create movement at the wrist and fingers. Many have small fusiform bellies that connect to space-efficient tendons in the lower forearm. These tendons extend distally into the wrist, hand, and fingers. The crowded muscle bellies and tendons of the forearm can be challenging to isolate. To simplify matters, the muscles of this chapter have been arranged into 4 primary groups. A. Muscles that act primarily at the elbow, brachialis, brachioradialis. B. Muscles that move the wrist and fingers, carpi digitorum and palmaris muscles. This group can be further subdivided into 4 smaller groups: extensors of the wrist and fingers, flexors of the wrist and fingers, abductors of the wrist, and adductors of the wrist. Some muscles that act upon the wrist can actually move it into 2 directions. Flexor carpi ulnaris, for example, will flexes and adducts the wrist. C. Muscles that create the pivoting action between the radius and the ulna, pronator teres, pronator quadratus, and supinator. And D. Short and long muscles that maneuver the thumb, pollicis muscles. Distinguishing between abduction left and adduction right of the wrist can be confusing. The forearm is when the forearm is pronated supinated. For instance, if you pronate the forearm, palm toward the floor, then adduct at the wrist, your hand will move away from center line of your body, and it will appear as though you have abducted your wrist. Not so. Both adduction and abduction remain the same regardless of forearm position. Interesting.
You just gotta think of it.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, we're talking, this is always going to be adduction. That's always abduction.
Yeah.
This is why I don't call it this.
Abduction.
Yeah, I call it ulnar deviation, radial deviation.
Mm-hmm. Only for the wrist.
Only for the wrist, yeah. I don't even, it doesn't even make sense that they're bringing that up. They should not be calling this abduction and adduction. I'm sure in here they have, well, I guess we'll find out if they're even having that conversation in here. Maybe those are new words.
Right.
Okay. We don't need to talk about the big block here. The muscles, we'll get into the nitties. Yep. Actions, here we go. Very nice. Okay. So let's talk about these actions really quick. So there are muscles that cross the elbow and the wrist joint. We'll look at. Okay, so this is right here. What is this motion?
Flexion.
Yeah, and what plane is that in?
This sagittal.
Yup. Cool. Flexors, we got biceps, brachialis, brachioradialis, flexor carpi, flexor ulnaris, palmaris longus, pronator teres, extensor carpi, radialis longus, extensor carpi, radialis brevis. Okay, so what motion is this? Yep. Yep. And then what motion is this? Yep.
Do you consider that? I guess it depends for plane.
It's tough, man. That's what I was
What do you-
saying. Yeah, you know, it's kind of a tough thing, right? Like,
That's like frontal, but this is
yeah,
transverse.
yeah.
It's like it depends on
So, I think, I mean, because we had this conversation with the
Yeah.
femur, right? And so, it's kind of tough, like getting to this point. Like, I think,
I mean, at its base is from anatomical.
yeah, I would say like where I at least start thinking about the impact on plane is more like at the hip socket and maybe like you were talking about at the shoulder girdle,
Right.
right? Because like with the hip, as we drive like external rotation there, if you keep hammering that, we're gonna get into some lateral lumbar flexion and hip hike right. If I'm here and I keep driving that, no matter how much I drive that, nothing's really gonna happen up here. But if you think about it, if I drive this, and I keep driving this internal rotation, and I keep driving, and I keep driving, and I keep driving,
Yeah, your shoulders gonna
kind of
shoulder blades,
protracting and
Yeah, you need some spinal flexion.
yeah, right.
maybe.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely feels sagittally
Mhm.
like something's happening there, right?
Right.
Whereas here, that definitely feels like something transverse is happening there, right? So I could see like obviously we're rotationally that's transverse, but it's not because we're not in the transverse plane, and I can feel that impacting the sagittal plane. I can feel this impacting the transverse plane. Right, so I think, and it's tough because like, why are we even, talking about this and classifying this as a certain plane? And I think it is to be aware of kind of the systemic influence that motion might have on the rest of the body.
Right.
So yeah, so like for this one,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I don't really feel that doing much. Like I can yard on that pretty damn hard.
You're gonna feel it mostly just in your
In the
wrist.
forearm
and
and
your
wrist,
arm,
right?
but-
But if you yard on me here, so I don't know. That's I guess my thought around
Nice.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep. Okay. And then wrist. So we have this motion,
Flexion.
and then this motion.
Extension.
Yep. Cool. There it is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it's confusing to even talk about it like that. So yeah, this is,
Ulnar
and then this is, yeah, exactly. These guys, that motion,
extension.
yep, and then that motion, yep. Okay, and then this motion, yep, and that motion, yep, and then this motion, opposition, 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 opposition. I thought I saw somewhere that this was apposition, but maybe I made that up in my head. So it's very possible that I did. Okay.
And if we're gonna distinguish it differently than flexion, then you would think.
Yeah.
I don't
Right. I mean, I guess you could call that extension. What? Go for it.
Or just opposition versus flexion.
Right. Opposition is like the fingers coming together.
Okay. Versus flexion, just kind of
flexion, 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 opposition, 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 opposition. Yeah. I guess opposition. That's that from the terminology standpoint. That doesn't opposition.
Sounds weird.
It does. I mean, it seems like it would be
Yeah.
opposition would be like
Yeah.
you're right, but I guess we could look at the term, the definition of
Yeah.
opposition. Let's see what that is.
Resistance or dissent expressed in action.
Right. Huh.
Resist. Yeah, 'cause you'd I mean, going this way it would be more
That's-
resistant.
yeah.
Because our hands naturally. I don't know.
Let me see. Interesting. Reposition.
Okay, I just.
Yeah. Reposition, opposition. Reposition, opposition.
Hmm.
Alright. That's interesting.
It's
Reposition.
about holding objects. Oh,
Well,
maybe
it's
it's
sort
like
of
it says the opponent's muscles, so that's probably why they got opposition.
Oh.
It's probably just based off the
Oh, the
muscles.
term.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. I think I could have picked something better there.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Opposition, reposition. There we go.
I guess you're kind of like repositioning yourself into like kind of neutral.
Yeah, true. That reposition makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
The opposition is just one of
Focus. Do not disturb. There we go. Did you hear about the skeleton who walked into a bar and ordered a beer and a mop? No.
those. Leave us hanging.
What was that?
Is he gonna leave us hanging?
I don't know. Come on, man.
What's the answer?
Give us the answer. He's already going. On to the next one. On to the next troll effect there. Okay, cool. So we got brachioradialis. Brachioradialis is superficial on the lateral side of the forearm. It has a long oval belly which forms a helpful dividing line between the flexors and the extensors of the wrist and fingers. Its muscle belly becomes tendinous halfway down the forearm. It is the only muscle that runs the length of the forearm but does not cross the wrist joint. Resisted flexion of the elbow causes brachioradialis to visibly protrude on the forearm and become readily palpable. Okay, so there's my guy. This is our forearm muscle right here. This is nice. Okay, so brachioradialis origin proximal 2/3 lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus. Lateral supracondylar ridge of the humerus, and then insertion styloid process of the radius. Boom. There it is right there. Flexes the elbow. Boom. Big time shortening cycle there. Assist, pronate, and supinate the forearm when these movements are resisted. So there's that. Let's see what else we got there.
Turning your door handle. A screwdriver. Your hand in your mouth.
Yep.
Wasting a toddler out of their crib.
Yep. Elbow flexors.
Yep.
Cool. Any questions or thoughts on that? Okay. Distinguishing between the flexor and extensor groups of the forearm. Before we isolate specific flexors and extensors, let us first determine the location of these two muscle groups. The flexors and extensors of the hand and wrist are located in the forearm. In the anatomical position of the flexors are located on the anterior medial side of the forearm, hairless side of the forearm. while the extensors are positioned on the posterior lateral hairy side. The brachioradialis and shaft of the ulna can be used as clear dividing lines between these muscle groups. Both of these structures run superficially down the opposite sides of the forearm, separating the flexors and extensors. Okay. Let's see. Locate brachioradialis shaft, moving on the shaft, flexors, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good on those? Okay, so here we go. Extensors of the wrist and fingers. Extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor carpi radialis ulnaris, and extensor digitorum. So these four extensors create extension primarily at the wrist and fingers. They are situated between the brachioradialis and the shaft of the ulna along the forearm and forearm's lateral posterior surface. All of these muscles are superficial and accessible through though challenging to truly isolate. Originating on the lateral side of the humerus, the bellies of the extensors become tendinous approximately 2 inches proximal to the wrist. As a group, they are smaller and more sinewy than the forearm flexors. Extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis are lateral posterior to the brachioradialis. Lateral posterior to the brachioradialis. So they're going to be lateral and posterior to the brachioradialis. Extensor carpi ulnaris, as its name suggests, lies beside the ulna shaft. Extensor digitorum is located between these muscles and has 4 long superficial tendons stretching along the dorsal surface of the hand and fingers. The extensor digiti minimi is sometimes classified as a separate muscle, but in reality it's just the most medial portion of the extensor digitorum with a tendon attaching to the 5th finger. Digiti minimi. This is what I was
Nice, there we go.
Minimi. You complete me. Okay, cool. So this personally, the way when I'm working with someone's hand and wrist, obviously I have an idea of where these muscles are, but what I'm looking at is like I'll use my arm to find what I'm looking for. I'm like, all right, there's that. There's that. There's that. There's that. There's that. And so I use my arm a lot. There's that. So if I'm looking for stuff and I'm like going, move your thumb, and I'm seeing this, I'm like, that's not moving your thumb. So I'll be like, hey, I want you to feel some stuff here.
Right.
And I'll poke on their arm and I'll go, I want you to feel that right there. So this is, because the hand's complex, man, and people have different muscle structures.
Yeah.
It's all generally the same, but this stuff gets pretty complex, and so you can, like, I have an example of somebody who, their finger extension was this.
Right.
That's not what finger extension should look like. And obviously I know that, but that is what finger extension should look like, which is very different than seeing all that stuff kicking on down there, right? So just experiencing your hand and what your hand does is a really helpful tool when you're working on somebody else's hand. So anyway, just a little tidbit there. Okay, so here we go. Extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, extend the wrist, and radially deviate the wrist. They assist in flexion. So this stuff back here, extensor digitorum, runs. There it is. So origin. Distal 1/3 lateral supracondylar ridge, distal 1/3 lateral supracondylar ridge here, and then, and then insertion, base second metacarpal, base of third metacarpal, so kind of here-ish. Good morning! And then it's doing this. Yeah. So, a way that you, thank you, man. Yep. The way that you would want to isolate like something, well, we'll go into testing in a bit here, actually. We'll talk about this in a second. Extensor carpi ulnaris, extends the wrist, adducts the wrist. So I think, you know, the takeaway with these, and we don't need to get into super detail on like what they do, but we need to know that these extensors can extend, ulnar deviate, and extend, and radially deviate.
Right.
They have multi-joint or multi-movement functions here. When we're talking about wrist extension, we need to be able to extend and radially and ulnarly deviate. Same thing with flexion. We should be able to do kind of these two, the multi-joint or multi-action functions. You alright? Okay. And then we have extensor digitorum, extends the second through fifth fingers. So extensor digitorum is going to do this. Let me see if we're missing. Yeah, extensor carpi. So and with extensor carpi, carpals, they attach to the carpals, which means they're going to be primary wrist extenders, whereas extensor digitorum, more digits on the extension side of things. Yep. Cool. Any thoughts on those guys at all?
Nope, makes sense.
Okay, cool. And then these, you know, this extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, those guys are also attaching to the carpals. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, I think we keep rolling here. You guys have any questions on the extensor system at all? No?
No.
No? Good? Okay.
Dude, I ran across one of the other trainers at my gym.
Yeah.
He had one of the clients I was there before my clients came.
Yeah.
And both of them had the exact same sickness that I had. And one of them was out for like 3 weeks. I was like, oh,
Dude,
I'm so
gnarly.
glad I avoided that.
Gnarly.
Plank, yeah. So it's
Rough
going
out
around,
there,
yeah.
man.
This virus is
Rough.
going around.
Yeah. Yep, it's been wrecking people. It's a bad one.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather have COVID,
Oh,
honestly.
my
Yeah.
COVID.
3 days, I'm
Way
done.
easier.
Yeah.
Especially
Way
now, if you've already had it.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah. I've done like 4 times now or something.
I had it twice. Both times were super mild. The
Yeah.
first time was the most mild cold I've ever had.
Really?
Dude, like so mild.
The first time was definitely the most wild for me. Like my eyeballs hurt.
Oh.
It was crazy, and,
Yeah.
and we lost our taste and smell completely for 2
Yeah,
weeks.
that's a weird one. That's a weird.
It was a
switch
trip,
up.
man. It was a trip.
That's weird.
Yeah, genetically modified stuff, man, or something. I don't know.
Some people weren't even getting it back for like months,
Yep.
or something.
Yep. Yeah, it took Hill like 3 months.
Yeah.
It took me 2 weeks. Yeah, I found out. I was talking to kind of a, I don't know what you want to call her, but like a functional medicine-y person, and she was like, bombard yourself with zinc, like absurd amounts of zinc, like unhealthy amounts of zinc, and I started doing that, and it was like,
Pretty quick.
taste came back right away.
Interesting.
So
Did Hillary do that?
no, and then I made her after
It's been like a couple months.
after
now.
2 months. I was like, you're gonna do this. Like,
I remember.
and then she did, and it came back. It was
Remember
crazy.
there was some like weird like burning orange. I don't know if you guys remember that, but like people were burning an orange peel.
And that
it was
helped?
Some, yeah, it was
Really?
like
That's
that,
crazy.
yeah.
Like people just figured out stuff. That's wild, man. That's pretty cool. Okay, Anconius. The Anconius is a weak elbow extensor located lateral to the olecranon process, triangular shape. It originates at the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and fans out to attach to the shaft of the ulna. The Anconius is superficial yet can be difficult to differentiate from the surrounding extensors. Okay, extend the elbow. And there it is. So, origin, lateral epicondyle humerus, boom, boom. And then insertion, ulna, extends, great. Located, extensor indices. Located deep to the extensor digitorum and extensor carpi ulnaris, this small but crucial muscle assists in the digitorum in specifically extending the index finger. Its tendon runs diagonally across the wrist and hand, sheathed with the extensor digitorum tendon. If you extend your finger at the metacarpal pharyngeal, metacarpophalangeal joint, you might see two side-by-side tendons passing across the top knuckle. The medial tendon closer to the finger is extensor indicis tendon. So we have, let's see if you, if you extend your finger at the metacarpal pharyngeal joint, you might see two side-by-side tendons. I only see one on mine, personally.
Maybe. I don't know. I want to see one really.
Yeah.
This looks like a vein here.
Yep.
Maybe that. This.
Alright.
Whatever.
There it is. Anyway,
You could.
very important, and this is something to keep in mind. These joints should be able to do this too.
Little swivel.
No. So this is stuff that I do test regularly. Can you
Just-
hold here? Can you hold there?
Yeah.
These guys don't really do that very
They're
well.
it's a little harder with their.
Yeah. But this one, and I think it's because of this extra
I think you kind
They
of
should.
pinky. Yeah, these are the two that I test mainly. I'll test that, I'll test that, I'll test that, and I'll test that. These guys don't really
So
do
much.
much.
I mean, this one is like the hardest to move, just in general.
The ring finger?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do a lot of flexion extension. But it makes sense, right? These guys are on the outside
Yeah.
of this kind of
Yeah.
fourplex
you
of.
like isolate them. They can move more easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in extension,
Even still.
these guys you really can't.
Wiggle
I
some.
guess you can a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should all be able to, stabilize, yeah. Okay, here we go. Flexors of the wrist and fingers. Okay, any questions on the extensor stuff?
Nope.
Okay, do you want to go through testing of extensors, or do we want to plow through the flexors and then do the testing of the whole shebang?
I'm fine with either.
What do you think, Pete?
Sure. Yeah. I think we could do extend. Oh.
You want to do both?
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
Okay. Flexors of the wrist and fingers. Okay, so we have flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum superficialis, and flexor digitorum profundus. The five flexors indicated in this section the five flexors included in this section create flexion primarily at the wrist or fingers. They are located on the forearm's anterior medial surface between the brachioradialis and the ulnar shaft. Most of the flexors originate as one mass from the common flexor tendon at the medial epicondyle of the humerus. The bellies of the flexors extend down the forearm, becoming thin tendons roughly 2 inches proximal to the wrist. As a group, the flexors are thicker and more pliable than the extenders. Although the flexors are easily accessed as a group, isolating specific muscles' bellies can be challenging. The flexors are arranged in 3 layers. The superficial layer is formed by the long bellies of the flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. Flexor carpi radialis is medial to the pronator teres and brachioradialis. Did we talk about pronator teres?
I don't think so.
Is that later? Hold on, I'm looking here.
Yeah.
Is it later?
Oh yeah, it is. It's way. It's
Oh,
down
okay, okay, okay.
146.
Okay, good. Those guys are important. So, okay. Where we at here? Let's see. The flexors are arranged through your spoke. One of the flexion form become tendon, roughly 2 inch apart from the rest. Okay. I lost my spot. The flexors are arranged in 3 layers. Superficial layers formed by the
Flexor
long.
carpi radialis, right? So the
Yeah,
bending
yeah.
arteries.
Yep. Oh, there it is. Cool. Flexor carpi ulnaris lies close to the ulnar shaft and has a distinct tendon attachment to the pisiform. The palmaris longus, which is sometimes absent, runs between flexor carpi radialis and flexor carpi ulnaris and attaches to the palmar aponeurosis. That's this right here. Palmar aponeurosis. Portions of these 3 muscles can be isolated for palpation purposes. The middle and deep layers contain the wide bellies of flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus. Respectfully, each digitorum muscle has 4 thin tendons which pass through the carpal tunnel and attach at the phalanges. The bellies of the digitorum are difficult to access directly, but their density can be felt beneath the superficial flexors. Okay. So, flexor carpi radialis. So this is, our origin is common flexor tendon, medial epicondyle of the humerus, right there. And we have medial epicondyle of the humerus. Yeah. And then we have, pop that up there. And then insertion base of 2nd and 3rd metacarpals. Right there. This zone here. So action, flex, action, abduct. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of you want to check this out, Keith?
No.
This is kind of cool. So you see this line of force and you're like, oh, that must adduct, but it doesn't because of where it attaches out here. Even if it's here, it's going to do the same thing, I think. Yeah. Whereas that lengthens it. So that's kind of a cool line of force there to get that done. So it's going to do that and that for sure. Palmaris longus, origin common flexor tendon, medial epicondyle of the humerus, flexor retinaculum, and the palmar aponeurosis. So in here, and it's going to do this stuff. So where's that flexor retinaculum? I need to know. Let's find out. Let's find out. I'm curious. I haven't looked at that in a while. Flexor retinaculum. Fibrous band that covers the carpal bones of the palm and hand near the wrist. So flexor retinaculum, this thing. It's like the wrist strap. There, this is what it looks like, guys.
Oh. That purple thing?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of above what they have here for the palmar aponeurosis. Right? 'Cause that's a little bit lower.
There we go. Let's see. So that's gonna be palmar aponeurosis is here.
That's the transverse fibers of it.
Right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Palmar aponeurosis is here.
Yeah, and then the transverse fibers are a bit. I'm thinking that.
That's a wrist strap.
Okay, you don't think. So you think that is the flexor reticulum versus.
Retinaculum. Yeah. It's.
Versus right here, rather than the retinaculum that's there.
Yep. That's what it looks like here. Check that out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of this like tendony slip that comes
Yeah.
here
Just
to
a-
here,
Yeah.
whereas the aponeurosis is kind of here, and then that's cool. And then that transverse, so the transverse fibers of the palmar aponeurosis are kind of the fact that like
Yeah.
you know, the wrist strap that people put on their wrist. That's the usage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of it's nice. We have a lot of kind of ligamentous, tendinous stuff happening here
Okay.
that keeps it, you know, keeps your hand and wrist fairly stable. Okay. So is any of this stuff helpful here? Shake hands with your partner, flex the elbow to 90 degrees, locate the brachioradialis shift, leg, flat hand between the. Yeah, we just gotta explore this stuff. We'll do this in a second
Yeah.
with the movements. How we doing on time? Oh yeah, we're doing great. Okay. Okay, this is a when do you use them thing. Flexor carpi radialis, squeezing the hand strap of a fast moving train. Okay. Turning on a water valve. Turning a water valve. Holding a cell phone. There were cell phones when this was made. It's impressive.
They're probably pretty low key.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. Okay, here we go. Flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus. Beginning at the wrist, locate the tendon of the superficialis. Flexor carpi ulnaris, carpi radialis, palmaris longus. Passive flexion of the wrist will soften the tendons and allow for easier access. Slowly work your thumb in between the superficial tendons. You can feel all those tendinous flexor things here. Did I miss the origin insertion sites of those guys? No?
Of the
No?
carpi.
I did?
Did we skip over carpi ulnaris and this like the flexor digitorum superficialis, page 142?
Flexor, subflexor. Oh, maybe. No, we dropped.
I think we skipped this.
Oh, here we go. Carpi radialis. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so carpi radialis, common flexor tendon from medial epicondyle of the humerus. Same. And then insertion base of second and third metacarpal. Okay, we did that one, right?
We did that one. We did palmaris.
Palmaris longus. Okay, here we go. Flexor carpi ulnaris. There we go. Humeral head, common flexor tendon from medial epicondyle of the humerus. Ulnar head, posterior surface proximal 2/3 of the ulna. So back here, and then pisiform hook of the hamate base of fifth metacarpal. So these guys are running this way. I'm assuming, what are they? Yeah, they do adduct. So they're going to ulnarly deviate and flex. Flexor digitorum superficialis, common flexor tendon, medial epicondyle of the humerus, ulnar collateral ligament, coronoid process of the ulna, interosseous membrane, the proximal shaft of the radius. So it's like this whole thing here.
Right.
Insertion, side middle phalanges, second and third fingers. So side of middle phalanges of second and third fingers here. That's going to do finger flexion, wrist flexion. What does it say? Flex second through fifth fingers. There we go. Flex second through fifth fingers. Yep. Profundus, anterior medial surface proximal 3/4 ulna. Anterior medial proximal. Dude, you guys should be doing this so you can like landmark for yourselves there. But whatever, I'll do it. Yeah, try doing that because I want to. It's kind of fun to like dial this in GPS wise. So anterior medial surface of the proximal 3/4 of the ulna.
So proximal. You said 2/3?
3 Anterior medial surface of proximal 3/4 of the ulna. Anterior, and then this is ulna, actually.
Oh,
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
ulna. Yeah, we're good.
Um,
You want one? A high tech muscle finding device here.
And then, so okay, so it's the medial section.
Yeah, that's gonna be lateral.
Oh, okay, so,
yeah,
so it's not closer to
I
the
know
closer
it's
to the-
weird, right?
It's like
Yeah.
the forearm midline.
Yep.
Okay.
I hope I'm right there. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, right. So check this out.
Nice.
So, anterior and medial surface of the proximal. So it's going to be proximal this way,
Yep.
and then it's going to be 3/4 of the ulna.
So it's
So
kind of like
it's
this.
yeah, right. Yep. And then base of the distal phalanges.
Okay. Distal.
Huh? Base of the distal phalanges, palmar surface, 2nd through 5th fingers.
Second to fifth. So
Yup.
these four.
And key, it's gonna be on those distal phalanges way down at the end there. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, the distal.
Yep.
But also the palm, what you're saying, the palmal.
Palmar surface of 2nd through 5th fingers. Yep. Yeah, so it's kind of sticks to the
Like
whole
here,
thing. Yeah.
too, and this-
Yup. Yup.
Flex.
It's kind of cool to see.
Cool.
It's kind of cool to see like how this pisiform thing here, this pisiform bone, kind of like guides it in there
Yeah.
almost like a
Yeah.
bumper lane.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's weird that it sticks out so much.
Yeah.
You can't really feel it because. Oh wait, no, you can feel it.
Big ol'
Totally.
honk of it. Yeah, big ol' honk.
This thing
of it.
right here, you
Yep.
feeling that?
Yep. That's spot on. Man.
That's bizarre. I never would have really
Yeah.
realized that
Yeah.
until.
It's hard to feel this one, but
Yeah.
you can kind of like
Kinda.
you should press on that pad
Yeah.
a little bit.
Got like you through
Can
it
you
pretty
feel
tough.
it?
Yeah.
You can feel it a little bit.
Yeah. Cool.
I guess I just always thought this was part of like the ulna or radius or something.
Yeah.
I
No,
guess-
that's
odd,
carpals.
yeah.
That's a trippy
Oh,
thing.
that's
Like
odd.
looking at the hand, we don't really see what this
Yeah.
what's going on here.
Yeah.
There's a crazy ass bone complex here.
It's just covered in so much like
Yeah,
aponeurosis.
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
exactly.
thought it was just these long bones.
Right,
and
they
then
went the
that's
whole
about
way.
it.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, man. That thing stops.
Tendons and ligaments. But
That thing stops right here,
yeah.
It's.
and then
there's
we
a
got this
bunch.
slab.
I guess I just
here.
imagined like all of this would extend up, but it's so bizarre how long. Like I guess the metatarsus.
Yeah, I agree.
I was not think your hand. You know. I guess that's why skeletons look like they've got really long fingers. 'cause
Yep,
it's really
exactly.
Just metatarsus.
Exactly. Yep. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hands are crazy, man. Hands are super crazy.
This
Okay.
is the only bone I've ever broken. is
Your thumb?
Yeah.
The
metacarpal.
metacarpal on the thumb?
I had to have a cast on for
Oh,
like
dude. Oh, that's rough.
3 months.
That's an important bone, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Okay. Yeah, nice. Let's see. You guys want to cover any of this stuff here? We're gonna go through the movement stuff. So, pronator teres. Here we go. Did I miss anything?
So
You feel good on? Yeah. Let me know if I missed anything.
just
there.
pronator teres and pronator quadratus.
Yeah.
on the boss
Yep.
too.
Cool. Okay, pronator teres located on the anterior surface of the forearm. So, front side forearm, the round pronator teres is tucked between the brachioradialis and forearm flexor. It is partially superficial and the only muscle in this vicinity with oblique fibers. The pronator teres is an antagonist to the bicep brachii and supinator. Muscles at let's do some muscles and create pronation of the forearm. Prone to spill it. The distal tendon of biceps brachii, situated just lateral to the pronator teres, is a good landmark for locating its fibers. So, origin: common flexor tendon of the medial epicondyle of the humerus and coronoid process of the ulna. Common flexor tendon of the medial epicondyle. Here, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
there and
And then, yep. You got that? Medial epicondyle up top here. Yep. Cool. Oh, you got it, man. Yeah, you're on. And then middle lateral surface of the radius. Middle lateral surface. Yep. Cool. So what does that thing do? Let's see. So this is how I would do this here. Get that thing on a stretch cycle. Definitely not supinate. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's kind of how you do it. You get it stretched as much as you can, and then see. Oh, there's no way that's making it longer or shorter. Oh, big. Holy crud! Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the outside.
Yep.
That's slack, so it'd be more of this.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. The short, the slack, right?
Yeah.
So that's the shortening system there. Pronation.
It is coming back to.
It gets long. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thoughts, questions on that? Good to go? Cool. Pronator quadratus. Although it lacks the pronator teres power and its and speed, the small quadratus is still a capable pronator. Nice. It has transverse. It has transverse fibers that lay deep to the flexor tendons and the major nerve and blood vessels of the anterior forearm. The majority of muscle is inaccessible except for its most lateral portion. This small palpatory window, however, is also located the location of the radial artery. So explore gently. Action pronates the forearm, medial anterior surface of the distal ulna. And then insertion lateral anterior surface of the distal radius. Weird muscle. Very weird muscle, yep. That's it. Seems important for maintaining kind of the structure and rigidity of this junction between the radius and ulna though, right? Like that looks like a pretty big deal there. Like that's gonna keep these two things together so they don't separate so much. Pretty important thing there. Okay. And then supinator. Supinator located on the lateral side of the elbow. The short supinator is deep to the forearm extensors and superficial to the head of the radius. As its name suggests, it supinates the forearm and is an antagonist to the pronator teres. It has a slender muscle belly which can be difficult to truly isolate. Action supinates the forearm. Lateral epicondyle of the humerus, radial collateral ligament, annular ligament, and supinator crest of the ulna. That thing's it attaches to a lot of the arm there.
Pretty chunky.
It's a chunky one. Yeah, it's a big dog. That's massive, man.
It's kind of like running.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
It's kind of like
yeah. So it's let's check that. I want to mark this too. Lateral epicondyle of the humerus, radial collateral ligament, kind of going this way.
And it goes like.
Supinator crest of the ulna here. And then anterior lateral surface proximal 1/3 of the radial shaft. What the heck, man? So it does this and then attaches here.
Yeah.
Crazy. Proximal anterior lateral surface of proximal 1/3 of the radial, like here.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it supinates. There you go. Boom. Woo!
Sheesh.
Oh, muscles of the
That's a
hand.
lot.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I know, we've got a whole other section.
That is a lot. Yeah, maybe.
That's why I broke it into two.
Yeah, that's smart, man. Let's cover this wristy stuff. Let's see, we got 15 minutes,
I'm gonna have to leave in like
10,
10 or 8.
8 minutes. Let's cover some testing.
Do a little bit of testing and the next
Or
one
unless
really
you want,
focus.
do you want to just try and bang through this in 8 minutes? I mean,
What?
the hands. I don't think we're gonna be able to.
Because then we could just do testing all next time.
We could. All right, let's cruise. Let's do it, man.
Just to kind of work through some of the muscle.
Yeah. Yep.
And muscles and then test them.
Let's do it. Okay. So, the 8 muscles that move the thumb can be divided into 2 groups: short and long muscles. The 4 short muscles are located at their at the thenar eminence. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thenar. We got abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, opinus pollicis. There it is, and then adductor pollicis. The 4 long muscles of the thumb are tendinous and originate along the shaft of the radius and ulna. Abductor pollicis, flexor pollicis, extensor pollicis, longus and extensor pollicis. Nice. Okay. Here we go. Long muscles of the thumb. The bellies of the abductor pollicis, longus and extensor pollicis, longus and brevis, lie along the posterior aspect of the forearm, deep to the wrist extensors. Their distal tendons, however, are superficial and form the anatomical snuff box, used historically as a platform for inhaling a variety of substances. Oh my gosh, they said that in here. This small cavity is low. Dude,
What is it to do?
no way. This distal tendon, however, are superficial and form the anatomical snuff box, used historically as a platform for inhaling a variety of substances.
Interesting.
They're talking about cocaine.
I would never.
In this book.
I would never just like automatically assume like correlate that with that.
That's crazy. Okay. Oh my god. It's hilarious.
It's crazy. You have a pretty good little. You got a good little dip in here.
Little snuff box there. Yeah. Okay. The belly of the flexor pollicis longus lies on the forearm's anterior surface, deep to the wrist flexors, and is inaccessible. Its long distal tendon travels through the carpal tunnel between the ulnar eminence muscles to the distal flanks of the thumb. Abductor pollicis longus. So it can abduct, it can extend, and it can abduct the wrist.
We're talking radial deviation.
Yes. Yep. So, origin, posterior surface of the radius and ulna at the interosseous membrane.
Posterior surface of the radius and ulna.
Yep. There we go. And it's going to be more, I'm not sure why they didn't say this, but it's going to be more distal.
So more like here.
Yeah. Or like middle. Yeah, exactly.
Posterior surface.
And then
Interosseous.
Yep.
Base of the first
Metatarsal. There you go. Yep. Cool.
Radial.
Yep. It's not gonna. It shouldn't do any pronation supination, right? Yeah, just deviation there. Yep, deviation, and then extension of the thumb. So it's gonna be like. Let's see real quick. Here, it's gonna do this, and then if these weren't attached, it would do that and that. Yep. Cool. Okay, then we have flexus pollicis longus. Flexes the thumb. Flexes the thumb at the interphalangeal joint.
Jump radial.
Oops.
Oh, okay. Did you do extensor pollicis longus and brevis?
Oh, we didn't jump that. Oh, we just did longus, huh?
We just did the abductor pollicis.
Abductor pollicis, extensor pollicis longus and brevis. Yeah, here we go. Posterior surface of the ulna and interosseous membrane. Okay, there you go. And then brevis is posterior surface of the radius and interosseous
So
membrane.
one's kind of on either. They're kind of
Yeah,
on either side.
exactly. Action extends the thumb at the thumb or the phalangeal joint, metacarpophalangeal joint, and then radially deviates the wrist as well.
So they do all three of those muscles do the same,
Yeah.
exact same things.
Just kind of different lever,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
slightly different lever systems there.
Certain
Yep.
amounts. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Flexor pollicis longus flexes the thumb at the interphalangeal joint and metacarpophalangeal joint. Carpometacarpal joints assist to flex the wrist. Origin anterior surface of the radius and interosseous membrane. Yep.
Like this.
Yep.
What was that to?
Base of the distal flanks of the thumb. Cool. So big lever.
Yeah.
Big lever there. Okay. Long muscles of the thumb, anatopical snub box, and long muscles of the thumb. With your partner's wrist and okay, yeah. We're gonna explore the movements there. Okay, short muscles of the thumb. So we have abductor pollicis brevis, origin, flexor retinaculum, trapezium, and scaphoid tubercles. So this is gonna be, this is where, this carpal stuff. So it's running into there, and then base of proximal phalanx of the thumb. So this is gonna do this like kind of weird abduction, assist in opposition of the thumb. So it's gonna abduct the thumb by pulling it like this.
Right.
Kind of weird.
And it attaches across.
Yep. Abducts the thumb at the carpal metaphor. Palmar view of right hand. Here. They're calling that abduction of the thumb. Okay. It's this. That's it right there. That's the motion. And then assists in the opposition.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there it is.
But I gotta get rolling.
Yep, we'll pick up here next time.
Sounds good. Do some
Good.
testing.
Yep, yeah, well, this only takes about 10 minutes to
Yeah,
do next time,
for
and then
sure.
just draw a
Cool.
line where we're at. Dude, I'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome.
Are we
Yep.
on for tomorrow study? There's right on, man.
I'll probably be in early with
Julie? Cool.
So.
Awesome, man. Have a good day.
You guys too. Take care.
Oh. Woo!
It's a lot of stuff in the hands.
Dude, I know this is why I was kind of setting this up to do towards the end of the whole thing, because
Yeah.
it's pretty.
The spine and then the.
Yeah. Did we do spine?
Yeah, we
did
did, but
spine.
it's.
Oh,
It's like
that's
pretty
the other one. I know.
extensive,
There's
too.
some. Yeah, the spine's gnarly, and then the face and neck are gonna be a little bit gnarly too, but it's not
Yeah.
gonna be like, not gonna be crazy or anything like that. This was the last one of the year.
Yeah, until after the first.
Yeah. Yeah, we
got
got 2
one.
weeks off. Got one in.
Yeah, well, just in the past month.
I know, man.
We got like
I know.
one, and then
Yeah. Yeah. Thanksgiving was no go.
I can't remember like if it was 2 weeks before that we were in Denver. I think I came 1 week.
Yeah.
Between and then.
You didn't miss
Thanksgiving
much.
happened.
You didn't miss much, dude.
And I missed one, and then. Yeah. don't
Yeah,
know,
no, I mean,
everybody's
because,
going
well, I
past
mean,
the-
clearly you didn't miss much, because this is literally,
it's all the same thing
we
they
picked up
worked
right
out.
where you left off pretty
Yeah.
much, right? So,
Just what I missed, maybe like a day of testing, I guess. Or,
I think you missed 1 day of shoulder testing,
Yeah.
is what it was. Or like elbow testing, maybe?
alright.
Yeah. Were you stiff?
Yeah, everything.
Everything is stiff.
Yeah, but I definitely have some. Yeah, it's like this side of my leg like goes in like I need to work on.
Rotation.
Yeah,
Dude, I should
rotation,
show you some.
external
I should
rotation.
show you some stuff. It's called